The greatest battlefield is not your bank account. It's not your job. It's not the economy. The real battlefield is your mind. And until you conquer it, you'll never see wealth, no matter how much money you touch. Ladies and gentlemen, wealth is not something you chase. It's something you attract by the person you become. If you want to attract unlimited wealth, don't start with your job. Start with your thoughts. Because your mind is the factory of your future, and your thoughts are the blueprints of your destiny. Shift from survival thinking to vision thinking. Most people wake up every morning thinking about one thing: how to survive the day. That's the default setting in most minds. They ask questions like, how can I pay this bill? Or how do I just make it through the month? And if your mind is constantly on survival, then you are not dreaming. You are just dodging disaster. The tragedy is not that people fail. The tragedy is that they never even had the courage to imagine something bigger than just getting by. Survival thinking is not evil, but it is dangerous. It keeps you reactive instead of proactive. It keeps you working for money instead of training your mind to attract it. It builds a routine around fear, not around future. And what you focus on consistently, your mind will accept as normal, even if it's mediocrity. You begin to normalize struggle. You begin to worship hustle. You begin to glorify exhaustion, as if being tired all the time is proof that you're going somewhere. But no matter how hard you work, if you're running in circles, you're not going anywhere. You were not designed to just pay bills and die. You were created with the capacity to see beyond the now. The human mind is the only species on earth capable of imagining a future that doesn't exist and building it into reality. That's vision thinking. Vision thinking doesn't start with what you have. It starts with who you are. And until you shift from surviving to strategizing, your energy will be consumed by short-term fires, not long-term plans. Let me give you a daily example. Imagine two drivers. Both have a car. One is constantly looking at the gas needle, always worried about running out of fuel. That driver is in panic mode. He fills up $5 here, 10 there, always just enough to keep the car crawling. He's not thinking about the destination. He's just trying not to stop. That's survival thinking. The second driver plans the trip. He fills up in advance, maps the route, checks the tires. He knows where he's going. He's calm. He's focused. That's vision thinking. Both are using the same car, same roads, but only one has a purpose behind the motion. When you train your mind to think with vision, everything changes. You don't ask, how do I make it to Friday? You start asking, how do I create a system that funds my purpose for the next 10 years? You stop saying, I hope I don't lose my job, and you start declaring, I'm building an enterprise that gives others jobs. That's the difference. Vision elevates your thoughts from reaction to creation. Survival thinkers rely on jobs. Vision thinkers build opportunities. Survival thinkers obsess over discounts. Vision thinkers invest in assets. Survival thinkers are controlled by fear. Vision thinkers are powered by clarity. That clarity gives birth to confidence, and confidence gives birth to results. The most dangerous part of survival thinking is that it becomes a lifestyle. You start telling yourself things like, I don't need much to be happy, or as long as I've got food on the table, I'm good. And while that sounds noble, what you're actually doing is training your mind to accept less than what you were born to manifest. Because wealth isn't about greed, it's about impact. You can't feed nations, start schools, or sponsor change if all you're doing is getting by. A vision-trained mind doesn't look at a paycheck and stop there. It asks, how do I turn this income into overflow? It asks, what can I build that serves people while I sleep? Vision thinkers don't just go to work. They go to war with small thinking. They fight the temptation to settle. They reject the voice that says, be realistic. Because vision isn't realistic, it's revolutionary. Every wealthy person you see, whether they're building empires, brands, inventions, or real estate, started by thinking differently. Before they ever saw money, they saw meaning. They imagined a result the world hadn't seen yet. While others were looking at their circumstances, they were studying systems. While others said, I can't afford that, they said, how can I afford to miss this opportunity? Vision thinking isn't about luxury cars or big houses. It's about knowing why you're alive and building a life that reflects that calling. When you move from survival to vision, your language changes. You start using words like strategy, delegation, residual, ownership, licensing, investments. These are not just financial terms. They are freedom terms. They come from a mind that has shifted from counting coins to creating capacity. Don't let your past limit your future. Maybe you were raised in struggle. Maybe you were trained to think that just making it through the week is a victory. But let me tell you, your mind is not a prison. It is a portal. And what you feed it will shape your finances. You must teach your mind that the goal is not survival, it's significance. You are not here to endure. You are here to expand. You don't need more jobs. You need more vision. Because once your mind catches a glimpse of what's possible, your world can never stay the same. Reprogram your self-worth. You will never attract what you don't believe you deserve. You can work as hard as possible, stay up late, invest in books, even pray and fast. But if deep down you believe you are not worthy of abundance, your subconscious mind will reject every opportunity to become wealthy. That's the prison most people live in. It's not lack of education. It's not bad luck. It's a broken mirror of self-worth. The truth is you teach your mind what to accept. If you constantly say, I'm not good with money, your mind accepts that as law. If you believe you're just a product of your past, a victim of your upbringing, then your thoughts will build walls where doors should be. You can't walk into wealth with a wounded self-image. You cannot build prosperity on the foundation of insecurity. You can only rise to the level of what you think you're worth. That's why people can win the lottery and still go broke. They receive millions, but their self-worth is still in the hundreds. So they spend, sabotage, and shrink because deep inside, they don't believe they're meant to have that level of abundance. Your financial thermostat is set by your self-worth. Raise your belief, and you'll raise your balance. Think of it like this. A person can be given a mansion, but if they see themselves as a squatter, they'll never feel at home. They'll live in fear expecting someone to kick them out. Why? Because their self-worth hasn't caught up with their environment. The same thing happens in life. You can be given a seat at the table, but if your mind still believes you belong on the floor, you'll never enjoy the seat. You'll sabotage the relationship. You'll reject the promotion. You'll walk away from the investment. Because your inner world always controls your outer world. Every day the world is telling you what you're worth. Billboards scream it. Social media compares it. People judge it. And if you don't take control of your self-worth, you'll allow the noise of the world to decide your value. You'll believe that you're only worth what your bank account says. You'll measure your confidence by your followers. You'll let other people's opinions become your mirror. But here's the truth. You are not what you earn. You are not what you wear. You are not your job title. Your value is not external, it's internal. Imagine a $100 bill. Crumple it, step on it, throw it in the dirt. Does its value change? No. Why? Because the value was assigned by the source that made it, not by what it's been through. The same is true for you. Life may have stepped on you. People may have crumpled your confidence. But your worth is not up for debate. You were born with unlimited value. The problem is not your value, it's your vision of yourself. You have to reprogram how you see you. That starts with the words you use. Stop calling yourself just anything. I'm just a teacher. I'm just a driver. I'm just trying to make it. No, you are not just anything. You are a visionary. You are a builder. You are a creator. Speak that daily. Look in the mirror and train your mind to agree with your future, not your failures. Because every time you call yourself broke, your mind hears it and says, confirmed. Every time you say, I can't afford that, your brain doesn't argue, it obeys. The words you speak over yourself are writing your financial destiny. Self-worth is not arrogance, it's alignment. It means I understand that I'm not here by accident. I was placed here with purpose. That means I deserve to live in alignment with that purpose, and poverty is not part of the design. You can be humble and wealthy. You can be kind and powerful. You can be spiritual and still dominate in business. But you'll never get there if your self-worth is still negotiating with insecurity. Let me give you a real life example. Picture two people walk into a job interview. One walks in slouched, avoids eye contact, and talks about how grateful they'd be for any opportunity. The other walks in tall, clear, confident, and speaks as if the job is lucky to have them. Same qualifications, same resume, different outcome. Why? Because people don't hire resumes, people hire energy. The second person trained their mind to believe they belong. And when you believe you belong, others will start to believe it too. This principle doesn't just apply to jobs. It applies to money. Wealth has energy. Money flows where there is certainty, strategy, and self-respect. If you treat yourself like you're average, the universe will never treat you like royalty. When you raise your standard, your environment rises with you. When you believe you deserve overflow, your actions start aligning with overflow. You stop settling. You stop discounting your skills. You stop apologizing for having big goals. Reprogramming your self-worth requires daily discipline. Speak wealth. Dress like you respect yourself. Stop hanging with people who only remember the old version of you. You are not who you used to be. You are becoming who you were always meant to be. The process begins when you stop waiting for people to validate you and you start validating yourself. Because until you see your own value, no one else can invest in it. Replace emotion with execution. You can cry or you can conquer, but you cannot do both at the same time. One will paralyze you, the other will push you. This is where most people get stuck. They feel so deeply, but execute so little. Emotions scream, I'm tired, I'm afraid, I'm not ready. But execution whispers, do it anyway. Success does not wait for you to feel good. Wealth does not show up because you're inspired. Wealth is attracted to order, discipline, strategy, not tears. There is a time to feel, but there's a greater time to function. If you only move when you feel like it, your life will always be under the control of emotions that have no commitment to your destiny. Your feelings are temporary. They change with weather, sleep, hormones, circumstances. But purpose is permanent. Purpose doesn't care if you're tired. Purpose doesn't bend when you're heartbroken. Purpose says, I still need you to show up. Think about a pilot in a cockpit. If they allowed their emotions to run the flight, the plane would never take off. Imagine a pilot saying, I'm not in the mood to fly today, or I'm nervous because there's turbulence coming. That plane would sit on the runway while hundreds of lives waited. The mission would be grounded because the captain couldn't master his emotions. That's how many of us are living. We've grounded our vision because we let our feelings drive. Now listen, your emotions are not evil. They are messengers, but they are not your master. They tell you how you feel, but they should never tell you what to do. You can be sad and still send the email. You can be afraid and still make the call. You can feel insecure and still walk in the room like you own it. The power is not in feeling strong. The power is in executing when you feel weak. Here's a simple example from everyday life. Picture a student who's got an exam coming. They don't feel like studying. They're exhausted, distracted, mentally drained. But if they go by how they feel, they'll scroll on their phone, binge a show, or sleep. Then the exam comes and they fail. Why? Not because they weren't smart, not because they weren't capable, but because they chose emotion over execution. They let temporary feelings create a permanent failure. Now imagine another student, same pressure, same fatigue. But instead of folding, they get up. They put the phone on airplane mode. They light a candle. They open the book. They train their mind to obey the vision, not the emotion. When the exam comes, they're ready. Not because they were more gifted, but because they were more grounded. That's the game changer. Discipline over drama. Most people don't fail because they lack talent. They fail because they never learned how to separate their mood from their mission. The mission is non-negotiable. If you want to attract unlimited wealth, you must train your mind to move even when your feelings don't cooperate. You must build rituals that protect your vision from emotional sabotage. Wake up early, make your bed, plan your day, track your habits. These things seem small, but they are spiritual. They are psychological anchors. They train your mind to prioritize execution over excuses. Don't wait for motivation. Motivation is a guest. It comes and goes. Execution is a habit. It shows up even when you don't feel like it. Think of top athletes, champions, business icons. Do you think they always feel like showing up at 5 a.m.? Do you think they feel like pushing through pain, pressure, and public scrutiny? No, but they do it anyway because their allegiance is to the result, not the emotion. That's how you must live. Your morning emotions might say, go back to sleep. Your bank account might say, you're not qualified. Your broken past might whisper, this is too hard. But execution rises and says, it's already written. We move anyway. Replace emotion with execution in relationships too. Don't let anger stop you from communicating. Don't let pride stop you from forgiving. Don't let fear stop you from loving again. Execution is not just about business. It's about becoming. Becoming someone whose actions are aligned with their highest self, not their lowest feelings. You must train your mind to operate like a thermostat, not a thermometer. A thermometer reacts to temperature. It goes up and down based on the environment. But a thermostat sets the temperature. It says, this is the level we function at regardless of what's going on around us. You need that same power. The power to say, even when I feel down, I show up with excellence. Even when I feel unsure, I execute with clarity. Even when I feel nothing, I create something. Every time you choose execution over emotion, you build mental muscle. You gain equity in yourself, and that equity becomes confidence, and that confidence becomes wealth. Not just financial wealth, emotional wealth, intellectual wealth, relational wealth. You stop reacting and start creating. You stop hoping and start building. You stop dreaming and start doing. That's the formula: less feeling, more forward. Detox from poverty conversations. If you want to attract unlimited wealth, the first thing you must do is detox from poverty conversations. Because words are seeds. Every time you speak or listen to language soaked in scarcity, you are watering weeds in your mind. And weeds don't need permission to grow. They thrive in the absence of intention. Poverty is not just a condition, it's a conversation, a code, a culture. It is embedded in how people speak, how they react to money, how they view success, and how they describe wealthy people. You cannot plant the seeds of abundance in a field polluted by negative talk. Look around your life. Who do you talk to every day? What do they speak about? Do they complain about bills more than they strategize about income? Do they glorify survival instead of building systems for success? Are they always talking about what they can't afford instead of what they're creating? That language is poison, and you are drinking it every day without realizing it. People say things like, money doesn't grow on trees, and they don't even question it. They say rich people are greedy, and yet they're praying for wealth. That's a contradiction. You can't attract what you resent. You can't walk into a future that your mouth keeps rejecting. If you believe wealth is evil, then why would your soul ever allow you to receive it? You're at war with your own desires. You must detox your tongue before you upgrade your life. Poverty conversations are filled with fear and false humility. They sound like, as long as I have enough to get by, I'm good. That's not humility. That's resignation. That's someone who stopped dreaming and started settling. There is nothing honorable about barely making it. You were not created to struggle for breath, beg for breaks, or panic every first of the month. That's not your identity. But if all you hear is how hard life is, how little there is, how dangerous ambition is, you will shrink to fit the cage they built with their words. Even in family conversations, it hides. We've never had money in this family. That kind of lifestyle isn't for people like us. We don't need much, just enough to survive. And so generations stay broke, not because they aren't talented, not because they aren't capable, but because the language of lack has become a family tradition. That cycle will continue until someone stands up and says, no more. I'm not having broke conversations. I'm not passing down poverty like an heirloom. I am resetting the thermostat for wealth in this bloodline. Do you know what's more dangerous than debt? A conversation that normalizes it. People sit around comparing overdraft stories like it's a badge of honor. Girl, I had a 150 in my account last week. They laugh, they bond, but they don't realize they're building a bond with limitation. That kind of talk rewires the brain to be comfortable with insufficiency. You have to disrupt that pattern. Sometimes that means going silent when the conversation turns toxic. You don't always need to argue. Just stop feeding the fire. If the group starts gossiping about rich people, step away. If the conversation is full of doubt, exit politely. Because your destiny is too expensive to be bought by cheap talk. Protect your atmosphere. Guard your ears like gates. Because what enters your ears eventually exits your life as results. Daily life gives examples of this. Think about coworkers on lunch break. One says, I'll never be able to afford a house in this economy. The other's not in agreement. That's not a fact, that's a group hypnosis. But someone in that group might go home, start a side hustle, invest, build credit, and buy that house in 2 years. Why? Because they rejected the hypnosis. They said, that may be your story, but it's not mine. There's a difference between realism and restriction. A realist sees the situation, but also sees the strategy. A person stuck in poverty conversations only sees the wall, not the window. They repeat the same phrases over and over like spells. Life is hard. There's never enough. I hate Mondays. I'm broke. I'm tired. It is what it is. That's not conversation. That's programming. And every time you repeat it, You deepen the groove of limitation in your mind. You've got to start replacing those phrases with declarations. Stop saying, I'm broke. Stop saying, I'm building. Stop saying, I can't afford that. Start saying, how can I create the income to access that? Change. That's too expensive. That's an invitation for expansion. Speak with the vocabulary of victory, not victimhood. Words are worlds. When you shift the language, you shift the life. If you're serious about attracting wealth, start speaking like someone who respects money. Study how the wealthy talk. They don't waste language on lack. They speak solutions, assets, leverage, legacy, partnerships. Their conversations are based on what's possible, not what's painful. It's not about faking success. It's about training your language to align with your next level. If you hear someone say, I'd never pay that much for a car, pause. Why? Because the truth is someone is paying it. That means it's possible. That means someone changed their mindset enough to receive at that level. The problem is not the price, it's your perspective. Wealthy people don't curse price tags, they increase their value. They don't adjust the dream, they increase the discipline. And it all starts with how they speak. There's a reason scripture says, life and death are in the power of the tongue. Every sentence you speak is a seed, so you better choose whether you're planting a forest of freedom or a field of frustration. Detox from poverty talk. Delete the jokes about struggle. Walk away from the circles that mock ambition, because your mind cannot attract what your mouth keeps rejecting, and your words will either build your future or bankrupt it. Align your mind with systems, not just hustle. The reason most people stay stuck isn't because they lack hustle, it's because they lack systems. Hustle is emotional, systems are intentional. Hustle burns calories. Systems build empires. You can run all day in the wrong direction and still end up nowhere. A man who sprints in circles will sweat more than the man who walks in strategy. That's the problem. Too many people are addicted to movement, but allergic to measurement. They confuse effort with effectiveness. They wear business like a badge, but their bank account is quiet. Their schedule is full, but their progress is flatlined. Why? Because hustle without system is just glorified struggle. Hustle says, I'll do everything myself. Systems say, let's build a way that works even when I'm not around. Hustle is reactive, scrambling, surviving, putting out fires. Systems are proactive. They anticipate, they automate, they elevate. You don't build wealth by chasing every opportunity. You build wealth by designing a structure where the right opportunities chase you. And that starts in your mind. You must retrain your brain to think like an architect, not just a laborer. A laborer asks, what needs to be done today? An architect asks, what structure do I need to create so that what needs to be done today becomes automatic tomorrow? This is the difference between trading time for money and building a machine that prints value whether you're awake or asleep. You can't scale what you haven't systemized. And you can't systemize what you haven't first seen in your mind. Think about a restaurant. The best ones don't just have great food, they have great systems. The chef isn't guessing measurements every night. The server isn't inventing new steps with every table. Everything runs like a machine: minutes, orders, inventory, seating, flow. That's why franchises succeed. It's not because every cook is brilliant. It's because the system is brilliant. You can take someone with average talent and plug them into an excellent system, and they will outperform a genius drowning in chaos. Look at your daily life. Are you living by design or by default? Do you have a plan for your money or just a prayer? Do you have a workflow or are you just winging it? Are your goals tied to clear daily actions, or are they just dreams with no deadlines? This is the brutal truth. Hustle without system is how you wear yourself out and still end up broke. You feel productive, but you're just busy. You feel motivated, but you're not moving forward. Because in the absence of systems, even your best efforts get lost in the wind. Systems are not just for business, they're for life. Your morning routine is a system. Your budgeting method is a system. How you manage your energy, your diet, your habits, these are all systems. The wealthiest people in the world don't rely on motivation. They rely on structure. They don't trust their feelings, they trust their frameworks. It's not about how hard you work. It's about how well you've wired your workflow. You need a system for making money, a system for keeping money, a system for multiplying money, a system for tracking results. If you don't track it, you can't grow it. If you don't measure it, you can't manage it. It's time to stop shouting about the grind and start building a grid. Think of a gym. Two people can walk in with the same goal, lose 20 pounds. One comes in, lifts whatever feels right that day, skips cardio, eats fast food after, then wonders why nothing is changing. The other comes in with a plan. Monday legs, Tuesday back and biceps, Wednesday cardio. They track calories, they prep meals, they stay consistent. Two people, same goal, same access. One has a hustle, the other has a system. Guess who transforms? The same applies to wealth. Two people start a business. One posts randomly, sells emotionally, reinvents their prices every week, and gets tired. The other creates a funnel. They set up automation. They track leads. They build email sequences. They tweak based on data. That person wins, not because they worked harder, but because they worked smarter through systems. Most people don't need more effort. They need more clarity. Systems give you clarity. They force you to step out of chaos and into control. They turn your life into a series of predictable outcomes, not accidental luck. You want wealth? Then stop acting like a lottery ticket and start acting like a blueprint. Don't say, I hope it works. Say, let's build something that can't fail if followed. Even spiritually, we are wired to operate in patterns. The sun rises, the moon phases, seasons cycle. The human body follows rhythms, heartbeats, breathing, sleep. Creation itself is a system. You're not failing because you're not inspired. You're failing because you haven't aligned with the natural law of systems. Hustle is emotion. Systems are law, and law beats emotion every time. You can grind all night and still be broke if you're not aligned. It's like pouring water into a bucket full of holes. Energy without efficiency is just exhaustion. Don't be proud of burning out. Be proud of building well. Wake up and ask, where is the leak in my system? What's stealing my focus? What's eating my time? What can I delegate, automate, eliminate, or optimize? That's how wealthy minds think. Not just, what can I do? But how can I do it better, faster, smarter, with less stress and more impact? You were not created to hustle forever. You were created to build something that outlives your energy. Something that makes money while you sleep. Something that continues while you rest. But that only happens when you stop being addicted to adrenaline and start becoming obsessed with alignment. See money as a tool, not a trophy. When you begin to see money as a tool, not a trophy, everything in your life begins to shift. Your energy shifts. Your conversations shift. Your purpose sharpens. Because the moment you stop chasing money to show off and start commanding money to build up, you graduate from survival to significance. The people who truly attract unlimited wealth don't see money as the finish line. They see it as a vehicle to build, to create, to heal, to give, to invest, to transform not only their lives, but the lives of everyone connected to them. There's a dangerous mindset out there, a toxic belief that wealth is about stacking money just to say, look what I got. That's a poverty mindset wearing luxury clothes. Real wealth is not about flexing. Real wealth is about functionality. A hammer doesn't look good in a trophy case. It belongs in the hands of a builder. A pen doesn't change lives sitting on a shelf. It writes vision, it signs deals, it authors change. Money is the same. It is not the goal. It is the gear. It is not the finish, it's the fuel. If you treat money like a trophy, you'll become obsessed with appearances. You'll buy things you can't afford to impress people you don't even like. You'll value brands over impact. You'll define your worth by your wallet instead of your wisdom. And here's the danger: trophies don't move. They sit. They collect dust. But tools build. Tools multiply. When you see money as a tool, you stop idolizing it and start mastering it. Let me break this down with a story. A young man gets his first taste of success. He gets a big bonus, and what's the first thing he does? He posts it, flaunts it, spends it. Designer shoes, luxury trips, high-end watches. Nothing wrong with enjoying your harvest. But this man didn't plant the next seed. He saw money as a trophy, not as a tool. 6 months later, the bonuses stop. The economy shifts. He has nothing left but memories and receipts. His money made a statement, but it didn't make a structure. Now let's flip the script. Another man receives the same bonus. He pays off debt. He takes a course to upgrade his skill set. He invests in a mentor. He puts some aside into real estate. 6 months later, the income stream slows, but he's not shaken. Why? Because he didn't just spend money. He deployed it. He put it to work. His money didn't rest on his wrist. It worked in the background. That man used money as a tool. That man trained his mind to attract wealth, not just touch it temporarily. You need to ask yourself this question: when money touches your hands, what does it do? Does it go to work or does it go to waste? Does it help you grow, or does it help you pose? Because the answer to that question reveals your mindset. Money is energy. It flows, it moves, it expands. But if your mind treats it like a metal, you'll always hold it tight and lose the bigger mission. Think about a farmer. A farmer doesn't eat all his seed. He plants it. He understands that the seed is not the celebration. It's the beginning. Money is seed. It's meant to be planted into things that produce businesses, ideas, knowledge, investments. If you keep eating your seed, you'll never experience a harvest. That's why people say, the rich get richer. It's not magic set. They see money as a servant, not a master. As a tool, not a trophy. Every dollar you earn is a soldier. Are you sending your soldiers to fight for your future? Or are you sending them to die in a war of vanity? Every purchase you make is a declaration of your belief system. You either believe in your long-term freedom or your short-term feelings. And those expensive. Feeling important. Feeling validated. Feeling like you belong. That's why people fall into the trap of lifestyle inflation. Because they don't understand the mission of money. I met a woman who built an empire selling handmade products. I asked her, what did you do with your first big check? She said, I upgraded my tools. I hired help. I increased my production. I didn't buy a bag. I bought more time. That's it. That's the mindset. Use money to create time, not tension. Use it to scale, not stunt. When you use money as a tool, you create systems that serve you for years. You create freedom that outlasts the paycheck. People say, if I had more money, I'd solve all my problems. No. If you had the right mindset, you'd solve all your problems with or without the money. Because money only magnifies who you already are. A fool with $1 million is just a louder fool. But a builder with a vision and 10 will create a blueprint. That's why mindset comes first. Wealth is attracted to order. Wealth is attracted to purpose. Wealth is attracted to stewardship. If you're not multiplying what you already have, why would you be trusted with more? And here's the final truth: money is a tool, but vision is the architect. Without vision, money builds nothing. Without clarity, money leaks. Without direction, money drifts. You don't need more cash. You need more clarity. You don't need more income. You need more insight. Because once your mind is trained to see money for what it really is, a power tool for purpose, you'll never chase it again. You'll attract it. You'll manage it. You'll multiply it. You'll make it work harder than you ever have to again. The world doesn't give wealth to those who want it. It gives wealth to those who are prepared for it. You don't stumble into abundance. You discipline your way into it. The difference between a dreamer and a dominator is not desire, it's decision. You have to decide that your mind will no longer be a playground for poverty. You must evict the old thoughts of limitation, scarcity, and fear. Burn the bridge to the land where just enough was acceptable. Tear down the excuses that kept you loyal to a life of survival. Because the mind is the battlefield, and if you win here, you win everywhere. You have to remember, you don't get what you wish for, you get what you work for, prepare for, and expect. The universe doesn't respond to noise, it responds to clarity, to intention, to mental order. Wealth is not attracted to confusion, it's attracted to vision. Speak what you want, think like you already have it, and behave like it's already yours. You're not broke. You're just in mental debt to old beliefs that don't serve you anymore. The most dangerous lie you can tell yourself is, I'll start tomorrow. No, you start now, right now. Because every second you delay, someone else is claiming the opportunity you prayed for. Wealth does not wait. It rewards those who prepare in silence and move in strategy. The ones who sit quietly studying while others scroll. The ones who say no to the temporary to build the eternal. The ones who invest in their minds before they invest in materials. You don't need $1 million to start thinking like a millionaire. You start by managing the 100 you have like it's a seed for legacy. Wealthy people don't have better luck, they have better laws. Laws they live by. Laws like discipline, consistency, vision, patience, delayed gratification. They don't move on impulse, they move on instruction. That's why their money follows them. They don't chase it, they command it. Understand this. Your bank account is just a mirror. It reflects your beliefs, your habits, and your mindset. If you don't like what you see, don't complain. Retrain. Change the code you've written in your thoughts. Stop feeding your future with fear. Start scripting a new story where you are the architect of your destiny, not a victim of your circumstances. It's not what's in your pocket that builds your future. It's what's in your mind, your mouth, and your moments of decision, you must declare war on small thinking, because small thinking produces small harvests. You weren't born to play it safe. You weren't designed to barely get by. You are equipped to build, to lead, to multiply, to influence. Every great empire started in someone's mind before it touched their hands. You are no different. Your ideas are not random. They are divine clues. Your discomfort is not punishment. It's the womb of transformation. Stop telling yourself you're not ready. Stop measuring yourself by what you lack. Start measuring yourself by what you've survived, what you've learned, and what you're becoming. You're not late. You're right on schedule. You're not behind. You're being prepared. The wealth you desire is already moving toward you. But can you handle it when it gets there? Can you steward it? Can you multiply it? Can you protect it from the old version of you? You were never created to be average. You were never meant to live paycheck to paycheck, bound by fear and mental chains. There is royalty in your DNA. You are not waiting on the world. The world is waiting on you. You are the chosen builder of your legacy. The vault of abundance is not locked by currency, it's locked by consciousness. Upgrade your mind, and you unlock the treasure. Wealth is not out there, it's in here. In your mind, your discipline, your vision, your decisions. So rise up, speak with authority, think with clarity, move with precision, build like your name will outlive you, because it will. And remember this, you are one decision away from a completely different financial reality. You are one new mindset away from becoming the person your future needs. As Les Brown said, you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. As Jim Rohn declared, success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day. And as Dr. Myles Munroe often taught, don't die old, die empty. That's the goal of life. Go to the grave with nothing left, no dreams, no ideas, no talents, no books, no sermons. De-empty. Today, empty your excuses, empty your doubts, empty your fear. Fill your mind with power. Fill your thoughts with clarity. Train your mind and watch how wealth starts obeying your command.